Greetings, brothers and sisters. So a couple things here to get to. People I've covered for a long time. Will Smith says he thought about committing suicide in his new YouTube channel program. Hilaria Baldwin fears Alec will develop PTSD after tragic shooting of Hal Hutchins. And then Alec Baldwin breaks silence, and we'll get to that first. This is page 6. Madonna under fire for recreating Marilyn Monroe's death for V Magazine. And so there's always, like you can tell, some days are bigger days than others. It depends on how many people that are like reality stars are being featured. People who I don't know who they are because they're on some obscure reality TV show. Usually like those housewife shows. But anyways, Alec P. Baldwin.
Let's go.
I will.
And his wife from the great town from Spain called Boston. And this is Alec P. Baldwin. You know, he's already had somehow he's going for a walk and people have nabbed him. And, you know, every once in a while there's a story that breaks. And I don't get so many Facebook messages and Instagram messages. Usually, like I'll wake up and there'll be like 2 or 3, sometimes none. You know, there'll be some on Facebook, but there won't be any on Instagram. So it's not that, you know, many I get every day. Maybe a total of like 8 or 10, couple of emails, you know, maybe 7 emails a week, 1 a day, or, you know, something like that, even less. And of course, YouTube comments now, because I'm making longer videos, I've cut it down. It was up to 2,000 a day. Now it's up to, you know, depending on what kind of videos the views the videos are getting. It's maybe, I don't know, 500 to 1,000 a day. And I got more messages about Alec Baldwin shooting a woman than anything else. And it's something that's captivating America. And here he is, disheveled, drinking his coffee. She's got her Boston Spanish iPhone out with the 3 cameras in the back. And she's wearing leather pants on this. And they're in the woods somewhere by, I would assume, what is it they call it? Is it the Hamptons? The Southampton or something? Anyways, don't tell me, don't care, don't need to know. And here we go.
What do you want to know?
All right, Alec, what's the current state of what's going on with the case?
I'm not allowed to make any comments because it's an ongoing investigation. I've been ordered by the sheriff's department.
He's been ordered. Nobody's telling. He's a little bit agitated. He's not whispering like normal. He's got big bags under his eyes. He's got some sort of 1950s Fonzie do. And he's holding his iPhone for some reason.
In Santa Fe, I can't answer any questions about the investigation. I can't. It's an active investigation in terms of a woman dying. She was my friend.
And then I shot her. My friend, and she's no longer my friend because she's dead.
She was my friend.
She was until he shot her, and then now their friendship kind of ruined their friendship.
The day I arrived in Santa Fe to start shooting, I took her to dinner with.
And I said, hey, coming up, there could be a little bit of a problem in our friendship.
Joel, the director. We were.
The first day I come into the set, and I take the 2 people I'm eventually going to shoot out to dinner. It's just, hey, I'm not an animal.
A very, very, excuse me.
She's shaking her head, and he said, excuse me. He barked at his Spanish wife. This is not cool. Watch.
A very, very, excuse me.
He looks like a demon here. Looks like a total demon. His poor Spanish wife is confused. She's trying to tell him to shut up. But he's going to go talking anyway because he just can't help himself.
We were a very, very, well-oiled crew shooting a film together.
You forgot the air quotes. Shooting in air quotes.
Then this horrible event happened. Now, I've been told...
They were a well-oiled crew shooting a B-movie that he was producing. And then he shot somebody in the face.
Multiple times, don't make any comments about the ongoing investigation. And I can't. That's it.
You met
What other questions do you have other than that?
You met with...
They have no other questions. They don't care. You're Alec Baldwin. You're on Instagram all the time. People have had enough of you. You're like a sea-level star now. You're old. And you had this ethnic scandal here. A woman who was born in Boston and doesn't know what the English word is for cucumber.
With the I'm afraid I forgot her name.
Look at, she's pissed. Yeah, he's like gotten a full demon.
At the moment, but you met with her family in the
Helena.
Yes,
Her
I
name
met
is
with her
Helena. If you're spending this much time waiting for us, you should
don't
know
know
her
her
name.
name?
Her name is Helena.
She's upset. Look at her. Her name is Helena. Say her name. Say her name, Emma Neffers. Say her name. Say her name.
Helena Hutchins. I met with her husband Matthew and her son. Yeah, that's right.
And how did that meeting go?
I wouldn't know how to characterize it. They're mortified.
You guys, you know what?
Would
No details.
But do me a favor. I'm gonna answer the question.
Do me a favor. Do me a favor. You gotta say that in Spanish, Alec.
Well, I appreciate that he was probably very upset.
The guy is overwhelmed with grief. This is something that there are incidental.
Look, this guy's driving by and go, hey, there's a cowboy there. Is that a cowboy in New Hampshire?
Accidents on film sets from time to time, but nothing like this. This is a 1 in a trillion episode. It's a 1 in a trillion film. And so he is in shock. He has a 9-year-old.
It's 1 in a trillion. They fired a trillion guns in well, it's got to be 3 trillion guns in Hollywood because there's been three at least deaths, right? And so he's saying 1 in a trillion. So they fired 3 trillion guns in Hollywood, and only 3 of them ended up killing somebody. So, I mean, it's an excellent track record.
Son, we are in constant contact with him because we're very worried about his family and his kid. And as I said, we're eagerly awaiting for the sheriff's department to tell us what their investigation has yielded. What else do you have?
What do you have, MNFer?
Did you ever work on another film set that involves firearms of that nature?
I couldn't answer that question. I really don't have any. I have no sense of it at all. I do know that an ongoing effort to limit the use of firearms on film sets is something I'm extremely interested in. Yeah, where are you?
Except when I was producing films, and I was practicing shooting, and it shot a close dear friend of mine.
But remember something that I think is important, and that is how many bullets have been fired in films and TV shows in the last 75 years?
3 trillion. I vote 3 trillion.
This is America. How many bullets have gone off in movies and on TV sets before? How many billions?
How many? You said trillions before. You said 1 in trillion.
In the last 75 years. And nearly without incident. So what has to happen now is we have to realize that when it does go wrong, and it's this horrible catastrophic thing, some new measures have to take place. Rubber guns, plastic guns, no real operants on set. That's not for me to decide. It's urgent. It's urgent that you understand I'm not an expert in this field.
Obviously not. You shot a person in a Hollywood movie.
So whatever other people decide is the best way to go in terms of protecting people's safety on film sets, I'm all in favor of, and I will cooperate with that in any way that I can.
Do you have any further projects in the works at the moment, or is everything on hold?
No, that's irrelevant to what we're talking about.
It's irrelevant.
Do you think production will start up again on
No, I doubt it necessarily.
It's over. That movie's over. It was going to suck anyway.
Was there anything else?
Why Vermont, Alex? Is
Because
That's
we
a
just
no,
do-
that's
it's
a
private.
person. That's private. Yeah, that's private.
She's feisty and ready to go. She's in her Spanish mode right now. She's like, listen to her. She's ready to go.
start up again on?
No, I doubt it necessarily. Was there anything else?
Why Vermont, Alex? Is
Because
That's
we
a
just
no,
do-
that's
it's
a
private.
person. That's private. Yeah, that's private. Anything else?
okay.
It's private. It's private. Vermont is private. Vermont comes with privacy.
So just do me a favor, you don't mind? My kids are in the car crying.
Oh, he's a victim. They're making his kids cry. They're get out here, and he's having an impromptu press conference here in the woods of Vermont, and his kids are in the car crying.
Because you guys are following
And
them
all I
and
want
they
to do, as a
know.
courtesy to you,
And they know they're following us. Look at that. Whoa, she's going full demon too. He's full demon. Couple of demons right here.
I came to talk to you. I'm not allowed to comment on the investigation. I talk to the cops every day.
Him and the cops are. They go out to dinner. Beware, cops, because he always takes the people he shoots out to dinner first.
Every day to find out.
Not afterwards, because that would be weird.
They know what you want.
Look, yeah, I mean,
Boom. There was
Hey, I talk to them every day.
She's upset. It's like they're not having it. These guys are following him. They found out where they were and they followed him. And his kids are crying. See, a big problem with the Baldwins is that they pretend to be victims all the time. Like, I've been covering this for a while. And, they both really enjoy being celebrities. Now, Alec could have just been a celebrity, but he decided to be a political commentator. And he went on Instagram and he pissed off Trump supporters. And he was really kind of douchey about it. I covered his Instagram post, which most of them he's removed. And his wife went on, not only had her own Instagram page, which she does sort of provocative pictures and, pictures breastfeeding and just scantily clothed Instagram model. But she also wrote books and wanted to be sort of some self-help guru. And she, was wanted to be a celebrity. She obviously was attracted to this guy and wanted to be a celebrity in her own right. Like, she could have just been a stay-at-home mom, out of the spotlight, right? Show up occasionally, but just be Alec Baldwin's wife. But she wanted to be famous in her own right. And she faked a Spanish accent at times. Like, at times she had it and other times she didn't. And that blew up, right? There was a couple of scandals, right, when Alec was in his heyday because Trump was, getting removed as president. And Alec couldn't come out and gloat because he was, defending his Bostonian Spanish wife, which was hilarious. Her, ethnic appropriation. And they acted like victims. She never owned up to it, right? And now he's shot somebody. And of course they're going to get followed by paparazzi. Like, they're all upset. And she's like, say her name, right? But, he was involved in this. He's a producer. And he's, an actor. And you guys wanted this. You wanted fame. You wanted to be out in front of people. And when something like this happens, and it's like the number one story for the last couple of weeks, then don't get all upset. Oh, my kids are crying. Put it on them. Yeah, you don't shoot somebody then, right? Don't fake an accent and ethnically appropriate another culture and then whine about it. Just, don't be famous, because this is what fame is. You want people hanging on your every word. You want to be out in front of people, and it comes with something. And when there's a screw up, the media's descending on you. Stop acting like like this is some horrible thing. This is what you wanted, right? Sometimes you're the hero, sometimes you're not. Sometimes you're the villain. And right now you guys are the villains, and this is how Hollywood villains get treated. Hilaria Baldwin fears Alec will develop PTSD after tragic shooting of Halna Hutchins. Hilaria bundled her 6 children into the car and set off with a destination in mind when she heard her husband Alec had accidentally shot and killed cinematographer Halna Hutchins on the set of the movie. Say her name. Say her name. I didn't know where I was going. I just drove. I just drove around and around with my kids. She just drives around. She's a driver. And she, there they are. She's out there directing traffic, pointing at people, yelling at them. He's reprimanding her. And it's not clear when her husband joined her in Vermont. They were in Vermont at the time. There he is, just looking like completely bummed out. It's over for Alec. Alec. Tell I say it isn't so. Yeah, well, I don't know. Says, I bought Alec up here because we have to mourn Halna's death. Alec has a really traumatic thing happen. And I'm trying to limit the PTSD. She's limited it. She has ways of limiting that PTSD. Will Smith said he thought about committing suicide, and I saw this yesterday from Will Smith. Really revealed he once thought about committing suicide, and here it is. Will Smith, this look right here. And he says some things that are a little bit more, about him just being fake. Like there was 3 people that I covered very specifically, and it was Ellen, it was Will Smith, and it was Tom Hanks. All of them are doing less well right now. Will Smith is a lot like Madonna. He was the number one sort of celebrity in his, he was the number one movie star at some period of time. And he was also a rapper. Remember that? And a TV star. And he, just can't let it go. He got this YouTube channel, and he just can't let go of his, his wanting to be famous. And then he talks about it in one of these episodes where his daughter had that horrible I'm going to whip my hair around song or whatever it was. And he had the number one movie, and, his wife had something like, Matrix. All these things came out at once, and their personal lives were in a shambles. So he's also similar to Madam Expiration Date, but mostly like Tom Hanks and like Ellen, who were considered really like popular. They got the good guy narrative, or they got the good guy archetype. And so none of them are really good people. They're all fake. Of course, Ellen has had her demise. Tom Hanks is doing less well. People are starting to see through him. But these were 3 people I covered where they got the, you can trust us, and they were, well-liked. And Will Smith's been living a lie, which we'll get into in a moment. And he's just so fake, right? And so he has this new series coming out on YouTube. And, like it's being promoted by YouTube. But like this is where YouTube started to make deals with celebrities. And the whole idea behind YouTube was average people, right? People who weren't celebrities. But they were embracing Will Smith and his YouTube channel. They're really pushing it out there. And now he has this special coming up.
So you ready?
This began as a journey to get into the best shape of my life.
It's camels.
Even better than iRobot?
Even better than iRobot.
Even better than iRobot. Now, I think that must be his wife, right? And she's wearing something here. I don't know. Why is it? Where are they?
Better than iRobot. I'm going to lose 20 pounds in 20 weeks.
So a pound a week. That doesn't sound like that hard, especially if you have like a bunch of special trainers and dietitians. So it doesn't sound like it's that hard of a quest.
Come on, Will. Get your head down.
When I started this show,
About to get it.
I thought I was getting into the best shape of my life physically.
See, even now he's trying to get real and he's still fake. Like he doesn't know how not to be fake.
But mentally, I was somewhere else.
I'm done.
And I ended up discovering a whole lot of hidden things about myself.
Okay, so are you finally coming out as gay? Because the biggest thing about Will Smith, and it's been, rumored by Hollywood. This is something that I didn't figure out. Like Hollywood had been talking about this for years. Alexis Arquette was from the famous Arquette family. There's like 5 of them, and they're all like celebrities. And it says, Alexis Arquette drops Will Smith gay bombshell. This is from Pink News. Trans actress brands Will and Jada Pinkett Smith gay hypocrites following Oscar boycott. And so Jada Pinkett Smith boycotted the Oscars because Will wasn't nominated or something. Remember that? And Alexis Arquette said this. When Jada comes out as gay and her beard husband admits his first marriage ended when she walked in on him, servicing his sugar daddy, Benny Medina, then I will listen to them. And then it said, she's being his first wife, paid off and silent. Will threw a fit on the set of 6 Degrees of Separation when he was required by the scene to kiss Anthony Rapp. Anthony Rapp later would accuse Kevin Spacey of abusing him in some way. So that's all tied together. He persuaded the director to shoot the back of his head in the frame, blocking the non-existent lip lock entirely. Him, gays have enemies. They lurk inside gilded closets. Outing is healthy, and you are either with or against us. You decide today. So then Alexis Arquette was clearly upset by the Smiths playing this role of the perfect couple, and Will pretending to be cisgender or whatever they call it, right? And wasn't having any of it. And then Alexis Arquette ends up dying, right? Shortly thereafter, which seems suspicious given what happened here, for almost like a punishment for outing Will Smith. So Will Smith, this is Betty Medina, right? And Betty Medina was the real Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And salvaged Will Smith's career. Here's Betty Medina with his hand inside Will Smith's shirt. And so Betty Medina had this idea for a TV show, and it was about his life because he had some sort of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air type of situation. And he got Will Smith to star in it, right? Will Smith was an actor. He didn't want to do it or whatever. And so Alexis Arquette said that Will Smith was servicing Betty Medina because of, whatever was going on there. So that was the first accusation. Then there was this: tabloid hits, Will Smith's affair with male actor destroyed marriage to Jada. $2 million cover-up scandal, Will Smith's secret payment to rumored gay lover exposed. And then he was in this movie with Kevin Kline called Wild West. It was a remake of the Wild West TV show. Will caught kissing Dwayne Martin. We were all sitting in Will's trailer on the Wild Wild West set. It was crazy. Will said, I'm secure with my manhood. Then he walked over to Dwayne Martin and kissed him on the mouth. That was Kevin Kline, who was at the time an A-list actor himself, and he was recalling this. And so these guys were rumored to be a couple. And so Will Smith was carrying this sham marriage out, based in Hollywood insiders, and in reality, he was really gay or bisexual. He was, somebody on the LGBTQ spectrum, and there was just some fakeness about Will Smith. And then in the Wild Wild West, there was things that happened in these movies. Will Smith gave a long lap dance to several of the characters dressed as a woman. It's like 3 minutes long, right? Here he is with Kevin Kline. Here he is stroking the face of the president, sitting on the president's lap. Here he is wrapping a scarf around the villain. It goes on for a while. Very sexual, very odd. It goes on forever.
Careful about the dress. I'll be out of here in just a second, Mr. President.
And then here he is kissing Jaden on the mouth, something Jaden complained about on Ellen, and Ellen encouraged him to go after Jaden and kiss him on the mouth. So these were things. I have a compilation I'll show you. But it's, there's all these times that Will Smith himself hints at this reality, that he was actually gay. And then Jada came out and said she had an affair 2 years with a younger man, a singer. Forget his name, it's not important. But he came out and talked about, then they came out together and talked about how they had a sham marriage. But it took years because he always pretended like they had some wonderful marriage. But it was clearly his whole life was an act. So let me show the compilation, then we'll go back to his YouTube video.
Thoroughly probed, got in there and got to the real stuff. Alex probed me.
Sex, once you've had sex, you walk different. It's in your back.
Only a man knows what a man needs.
You ever made love to a man? No. You want to?
No, sir.
Definitely don't look nerdy. You got some sexy vibes going. It's not nerdy.
And from that point, I never put profanity in my rap music.
Oh, what a lovely story. That is sweet.
Does this feel like a hug? Yes.
Come see, come sa.
Do you feel loved or do you feel assaulted?
All right.
Feels like someone already did.
And that fake laugh.
Now that will be edited out of the show.
No, it won't. Let's take a
Oh,
peek.
yeah. You know, I love him, Ellen. I love him.
Trying to make out with his teenage son.
I know.
Ellen egging him on.
No, you know, I think when you have kids and you love them and you're proud of them, you just want to kiss them in the mouth sometimes.
This one's gonna be easy. Ooh, look at her handmade. So, and she's going to get some punch. Feeling a little thirsty myself.
No, you can't leave me. They'll see right through me.
No, they won't. All you have to do is walk over there.
Speak. I also have to speak.
Okay, listen to me. I live in a lamp. This is a party. Do not mess this up for me.
Mr. Man, what's your name? Whatever, what would your pleasure be?
That's fantastic. So do you think your parents are cool, or do they sometimes embarrass you, Jaden?
My parents embarrass me all the time.
Classic Will Smith laugh, right?
They do? I did not expect that answer.
When I'm at school, sometimes my dad will just pull his pants down.
Hey! I might hug you. Can I hug you?
Oh my God, a drink. How you? Hey, man. Come on, man. What the hell is your problem, buddy? I'm gonna get you back first, and then
You gonna get me back? I think you got me back. I think we're good on that. Okay.
okay, that's probably true.
But if you expect to be with somebody for a lifetime,
25 years and counting.
we ride together,
We die together.
Bad marriage for life.
That's terrible.
It's the truth.
It's the truth.
Will is about to embark on two extraordinarily difficult journeys.
I'm writing my book, and it's like exposing my life and so many things that people don't know about me.
Okay, so like this would, if he was going to be honest, if this was about just coming clean, he would talk about his sexuality, which Hollywood had been talking about for years. They were reporting on it. It's been out there. His wife was having affairs. They clearly weren't together. They had some sort of open marriage arrangement, and he was faking being something he wasn't, right?
That was the only time in my life that I ever considered suicide.
It seems kind of emotionally manipulative.
Now I'm about to show the world how little I know about myself.
Again, knowing yourself is overrated. I talked about that with Artfulness System. It's about knowing your ego, and that, you could spend, no one's going to really understand their ego, because their ego is manufactured for your physical body. It's not your true self or your real self. Knowing your soul is something else. And that's, something where you have to minimize your ego to know your soul, what you are as a spiritual essence, your soul and your subtle bodies. And so this idea of knowing yourself, like it's a big thing in America, but it's really just exploring the, infinite wrongdoings of your ego, right? Your ego hijacking your soul's purpose in your life.
I don't want to do any of this. I'm finished with the best shape of my life.
Boom. Yeah.
What you've come to understand as Will Smith, the alien annihilating MC, the bigger-than-life movie star, is largely a construction, a carefully crafted and honed character.
I'm glad he's admitting to this, right? That's what I've said for years. I've been covering this for years. It's not just him. It's Tom Hanks. It's Ellen. It's, every celebrity's a brand. I mean, this is how they manufacture them. And, inside the people are miserable because it's all a lie, right? They know they're a fraud. They know that they can have the villain brand, and I guess that goes a little better for people psychologically. But the ones that are the heroes, and they're not really heroes, they're not really a good guy. I mean, Will Smith was a complete fraud, as is Tom Hanks and Ellen, and they were given the good guy moniker, right? And they all, and him and Madam Expiration Date just, doing anything possible to hang on to a little bit more fame, right? I I'm even doing this on the YouTube channel, just doing it as some self-exploration, you know. In a way, it's, you know, it's part of the branding, but like at least there's some honesty here.
Designed to protect myself, to hide myself from the world, to hide the coward.
Damn.
So, you know, like if he comes out, he comes out. Like that's the bottom line. Like if he's fully honest about all these things, like who he is and who he pretended to be, and this, you know, coming clean, then this is, you know, at least something. It's a move in the right direction. But again, it's 30 years of creating this illusion that was obviously not true. Best shape of my life. YouTube original. So we'll see what happens, right? Is it just a way for him to do one of these other, you know, these self-exploration? He's done this a lot on his YouTube channel. Going against what he fears, trying to force himself to do things he's scared of, which isn't a good idea. Just be honest. Like, just be honest. Just come out and be honest. And, you know, stop lying. You're saying that you're a created brand. Great. We all know that. At least some of us do. Just come out and tell the truth. That's all you have to do in 2020. Just admit what you are. Like, just, you know, be honest about what you are. Stop faking whatever, right? Like, that's what I've said over and over again. If you're a politician, just be, you know, genuine. Be authentic. Just try to be authentic. Bad, good, ugly, whatever it is. The good, the bad, the ugly. Just be real. Like people, you know, all trying to be fake on social media and all these things. Trying to create brands that don't exist. Try to be something they're not. Just be what you are. Play your role. God has a purpose for you. Find out what it is. Your soul has a purpose. Find out what it is and do it. It's just, you know, very simple thing. It escapes 99.999% of the population. And really it's bad in the celebrity culture because they're leading people in the wrong direction to fake things, right? Pretend it. Fake it until you make it. No. Be frickin' genuine. Be authentic. So I'm in the editing process. I already did a voiceover at the end of the video, and I'm not sure what's in it, so I might repeat it here a little bit. But just reacting to this stuff with Alec Baldwin and Will Smith, and then my other videos of Madam Expiration Date and all these other guys, Hanks and Ellen and Jimmy Kimmel's, and, you know, Joe Biden and Trump and all the, I mean, I guess Trump is, you know, more authentic. I mean, he's a liar, but he's more authentic. But when you are in a relationship with a lot of people, like a mass relationship, and you perpetrate a fraud, like your whole everything that you are is a fraud, like you're the opposite of what you are. And this, you know, happens to everybody when, you know, people delude themselves and lie to themselves, like inside what they are inside, and create something outside for the world and start believing in what they created outside, but inside they're still whatever they are, right? This is, you know, when you do the heartfulness meditation or sincere meditation of any kind, you end up facing yourself. Like you know, you're consciously aware of the negative thoughts and hateful thoughts and jealous thoughts and, you know, all these negative low-level emotions and attitudes and narcissism. And, you know, you just have to look at yourself and you see it because you're looking inward. And it's important because you get reality of some of your negative stuff that you know, that you're going to rationalize or just whatever, right? In little bits and pieces on a daily basis. Whereas somebody who's in denial and perpetrates a fraud on the world and themselves, it comes back to smack them all at once, right? And you're seeing that with these celebrities. And whether you see it publicly or not, the reason you're seeing it publicly, it's a certain time in the world. But also, you know, we're involved in this because they're deceiving us, right? They're, you know, they're pulling a flim-flam man scam on us and themselves and all these things. And so this is what you're seeing. And it's like the veil's coming down and a mirror is being shoved in everybody's face. And for celebrities and politicians and these, you know, big-moneyed people, important people, you know, successful people, whatever, who have been duping themselves and other people, it's, they're getting whacked, right? It's hard for them because they're getting a big dose of reality, a big mirror shoved in their face, and, they're falling apart. We've seen this the last couple of years. I mean, it's getting worse each year. And this certainly has happened for Will Smith and Alec Baldwin, right? Like, this is the cold slap of reality smacking you in the face. And it sucks because I've been through this just in terms of the cleaning. I talked about this in my Journey series. When things come back at you, and it might not even been from this life. It could be some crap you pulled in the past. But it comes back. There's no avoiding it. This is how I know. This is why I don't worry about, I hope these, let's bring these guys to justice, right? Like, I don't care about that because I know everything's recorded. It's said over and over in the Heartfulness Whispers messages. Everything's recorded. Down below, he says, Babaji in the Whispers messages. Everything's recorded. And, nobody gets away with anything. It comes back to you. You have to face it at some time. And so there's a system, a divine system. We don't need, governmental justice because there's a system in the divine world. And they might not pay for it in this life, but they're paying for it somewhere, wherever it is, right? Every time you do wrong, you screw yourself. I talked about like older versions of me screwing this version of me, or, Tuesday Paul screwing over Thursday Paul, right? Everything you do comes back around. And you can see it in your own life. Mistakes you made years ago, and then all of a sudden it comes back around. And that's just how it is. And there's nothing you can do about it because there's a divine system in place that wants to purify everything and bring it to its pristine form. And so just one more thing here. Huffington Post, maybe two more things. Dems fear disaster in Virginia. Now, I lived in Virginia when it was turning blue. It had been a red state for a very long time. But more and more D.C. people are moving into Northern Virginia, and Charlottesville and Richmond, these smaller cities, were getting bigger with more sort of Democratic people. And eventually, the Democrats took over. Virginia Democrats fight to keep control of the state legislature as polls tighten. And that's because, Joe Biden's a disaster in this whole thing. People are really upset. They're not doing real polls about independents and people who are clearly bailing on the Democratic Party. And again, I'm not a Republican, never voted Republican. But the Democrats are just so bad. And they don't care. There was a part that happened. Well, I'll come back to this. I'll do this in the wrap-up part. Alyssa Milano says she would vote for Dwayne Johnson for president in a heartbeat. And this is news. Why? Okay. All right. We know you'd vote for Dwayne Johnson. Like, why is that a headline on Yahoo News? So going back to this, I was thinking about this last night. In 2015, I saw something when I knew that the apocalypse was upon us, right? Because it was a time, it started with that whole whatever was going on, the Caitlyn Jenner things and other stuff like that. But it really took off in 2016, and then more so when Trump was sworn in the beginning of 2017 as president. And what I saw was that the powers that be, this was Hollywood, this was the media, and this was corporations, were no longer catering to the right wing of the left-right paradigm. The old school Christian, Republican type of people, and, many conservative type of people who were even liberals or, conservative liberals or conservative independents were being ignored, right? And they were just pushing an agenda. There was a thing that Michael Jordan said years ago, why he didn't talk about political issues. And he said Republicans buy sneakers too. So Michael Jordan was saying that as a left-leaning Democratic person, he wasn't going to air his views because it would cut off half of his customer base. And so you had this very, large demographic of, 40% of the people, 30% of the people who were being ignored. And it was really 60% because some of the issues in the beginning they did polling and 60% were against some of these things. I pointed them out. I mean, things you're not really supposed to talk about anymore, right? And so I saw that there had been a shift where the customer was no longer always right. You saw this move through COVID, but it's been a time where they don't care what you think anymore. And they just tell it to you. Like, we don't care what you want or think anymore. And I knew that they were getting desperate, the people that control the system. Because the only reason to do this, because they were, they're at risk of infuriating a mob of people. People who are, some of them are ex-military, some of them are still in the military, a demographic that's had a lot of power in America. And they were just saying, F you to that demographic. And that demographic could go off in some way. And there could be something that happened, like an insurrection, a real insurrection. And so they didn't care about that. Like, they're always, one of the number one fear of the ruling elite, this people I call the controllers, whether it be kings and queens or whether it be a religious establishment or whatever it is, right? A mayor of some village, their one fear is that the mob just goes off and comes and gets them, right? People in power, that's their number one worry, in terms of their power being taken away. You've seen revolutionary actions happen in Europe at times and things where the mob just goes apeshit and just goes and gets rid of the whole ruling class. It happens, just happened in Russia not that long ago, which is a very big, powerful country. So there is, there are these movements that the so-called elite fear. It's one of their biggest fear, that the people, because they're only 1%, there's that great clip from The Bug's Life where Kevin Spacey references in this video, and he's a grasshopper, and he talks about how they outnumber them 100-1. I've shown that clip before.
How about this? You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100-1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line.
And so it's their biggest fear. And yet in 2015, you could see that they didn't care anymore about pissing people off, huge demographics, and they were just going to force something. And I knew they were getting desperate. I knew that this action was based in desperation because they're not riskers. They don't risk these types of, things are going well right now for the people that control the system. There's so much, fake money out there, and they have so much, their lifestyle and power that they have is, came to this crescendo. And they clearly knew something else was going to happen. The system was going to collapse. Right now the system is collapsing in many different ways, right? Morally, when you go away from God and you disconnect yourselves from God and your soul's path, and there's moral deprivation, real morality, not fake, religious morality, but, real morality, what your soul finds reprehensible, what God, going against God's will, going in a demonic direction. And when that happens, your system's doomed to collapse. But also, there's too much debt, there's pollutions, there's the Wi-Fi, there's just the low-functioning nature of human beings. Like, it's all collapsing, all of it. We're collapsing on every possible level. You can see it. And so there's a desperation there. And very recently, like, there's at least a third of the population that feels very strongly. There's probably about 50% that, don't want the Voldemort, but 30% really don't want it, right? And they're just forcing it anyway. They don't care. Like, they don't care anymore what you think. The customer is no longer always right, like I said. And so, this is, all this other stuff is just like window dressing, right? Because when they fear something worse than the mob, that means that the system they know is collapsing. That's what I've talked about very specifically, that there was, we're beyond the point of no return because the powers that be are going in a desperate direction. And when they're this desperate, then, there's no saving the system. Like, they're trying, but they know that they're not going to save it, right? And, but anyways, and all this other stuff is just coming out, like all this, like, Will Smith having whatever thing he's doing now, and Alec Baldwin. I mean, all these things are just ways that the divine forces, because eventually the power that the so-called controllers have was going to be taken away by God, by time, by the end of the Kali Yuga. I mean, all these things. Eventually, it gets removed because there's a plan here. This is, there's a reason that things get so bad, and all this darkness and grossness is coming to the surface, like I talk about in the heartfulness system, that the heavier the spiritual grossness, the deeper it is and the longer it takes to pull out, right? So you might be doing the system for years, the heartfulness system, and be really clean and feel like you have a good spiritual condition. And, there's plenty of people like this. And there's something deep lurking inside of you, and it's waiting for the right, there's some scars are waiting for the right moment to flower. And so when that happens, like you see this with people that win power, right? Nicest person, really genuine, sweet person, and they become a celebrity or a powerful politician, and there's some darkness in them that gets pulled out by the power, and they turn into some sort of demon. But, before that, everyone loved them. They were just this nice, likable person, but there's something lurking inside. It takes a while for it to surface. And all that stuff is being pulled out now at the end of the system, at the collapse of this demonic system, the beast, because of a need to purge out all the darkness so that we can have and not just like collectively, but also in terms of individuals. So there can be a spiritual renaissance, and there can be a vibrational, spiritual shift on the planet, which is coming, right? So there's something good coming, but there's all this stuff that we have to go through, and that's why you see this acceleration of the darkness being pulled to the surface. So you might as well laugh at it, right? Because, all these fake people, all these whatever, are being exposed, and, it's funny. And yeah, our lifestyle is going to suck, and there's things that are going to be bad, but for now, you might as well enjoy it, because it's better to laugh at it than to, wring your hands and worry about the system that you're 100% dependent on collapsing. And then what are you going to do then? Only spirituality will save this world. It's Paul Romano, definitely reporting from the Apocalypse and the Ascension. Everyone have a blessed day and be grateful.